At the Experimental Biology Meeting 2022, members from 5 societies gather in Philadelphia to discuss new developments in research in anatomy, biochemistry, and molecular biology, investigative pathology, pharmacology, and physiology. The EB Meeting program features plenary lectures, workshops, symposia, networking opportunities, and much more. And EBTV is right here bringing you all the latest from the meeting. Welcome to the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Philadelphia and Episode 3 of EBTV 2022, where we continue to explore the latest news and developments from participating societies. We catch up with the APS president to hear more about the new APS meeting next year. The new editor-in-chief of the Journal of Biological Chemistry talks to us about his vision for the journal. We hear more about research and development from organizations in the field. We speak to the ASIP president about the benefits of ASIP membership. We also learn more about tips and tricks for first-year faculty members. And the ASIP executive officer tells us about the Society's plans for the future. As you can see, we have an exciting program coming up. Stay tuned for our first interview. You're watching EBTV. I'm here with APS President Jennifer Pollock. Thank you for joining us in the EBTV studio.
Of course.
So I want to talk about some of the highlights with APS and specifically their focus on women in science.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me about that. Big supporter of women in physiology, but one of our focus at APS is that we want to actually move the bar. We want to break the ceiling, and we want to be a leader of supporting women in science, not just physiology, but in science. And we want to actually tear that down and help you as a scientist, wherever you are, in trying to make progress in your career. And we need your ideas. And we want your help in being able to do that. So please bring us all those ideas for moving women forward in science.
Very cool. It has been an interesting year, the past 2 years with the pandemic. How has that impacted APS?
So, when this all started, lockdowns occurred February, March of 2020, and we were looking at EB 2020. And it had to be canceled. And all of us in leadership were fearful that it was going to mean a disengagement of our members and that it was going to be hard times. The absolute opposite happened. Every one of our members stepped up to the plate. Engagement is out the roof. It is an exciting time to be a part of APS with all of our new initiatives. And we really want everyone to come on board and be a part of all the cool things going on.
So one of the cool things going on next year.
So one of the big cool things is our standalone meeting in APS 2023. That's the American Physiology Summit, APS. And it is April 20 to 23 in 2023 in Long Beach, California. It's going to be a really cool standalone meeting. There are some aspects of the organization or the structure of the meeting that is similar to EB, but there's also new and very cool, exciting new things. And to tell you a little bit about it, we have 2 big, large general plenary sessions. Our opening session is Dr. David Julius, who just won the Nobel Prize. He's an APS member, and the prize was on his research in pain. And he will be talking to us on the first day. Then towards the end of the meeting, we have also APS member Jessica Meyer, who's an astronaut. And she's been invited, and we're working through the paperwork for NASA.
Imagine there's a lot of paperwork for that one.
Yes. And then we have game changer sessions, and we have foundational sessions. We have coffee time every morning, and APS is sponsoring all the coffee. We have our poster sessions in the later afternoon that are wine and cheese sessions. And then we have all of our sectional programming, all of the sections, social events are all still staying a part of APS 2023.
It sounds like it's going to be a fantastic event.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
We're joined now by Alex Toker, Editor-in-Chief of the Journal of Biological Chemistry. Now, I understand you just started this role somewhat recently. What is the vision of the future for the journal?
So the Journal of Biological Chemistry that is published by the ASPMB, or the American Society for Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, along with the other two journals that are published by the Society, Journal of Lipid Research and Molecular and Cellular Proteomics, went open access just over a year ago. And one of the visions that I and the editors at the JBC have is to move beyond open access. And one of the exciting ideas that we are working on is to move into the realm of open science, to make all of the scientific content that we publish freely available to the entire scientific community and to the community at large.
Why is this so important? What can the impact be in the future?
Well, as you might imagine, one of the things that the COVID pandemic has unfortunately amplified is, to a certain extent, a public distrust of science and scientists, compounded by issues that have been perpetuated in the scientific literature with respect to plagiarism and falsification of data. The basic premise of open science is that all of the data, all of the research materials, everything that it goes into a scientific research study is freely available, thereby obviating any issues with respect to falsification, to data manipulation, etc.
Anything you can share with us about the focus of future journals coming out?
With respect to the Society, the three flagship journals, being the JBC, MCP, and JLR, have all gone open access. And this has really been a revolution. We are one of the first societies to move our journals to a fully gold open access model, which it was really mandated by the Plan S movement and recommendations throughout the world. That really means that anyone with an internet connection can access our published content, regardless of subscription to libraries, regardless of having to pay a publisher for that published content. It has meant that the financial model by which journals are published by academic societies such as the ASPMB has had to change drastically.
I imagine that must have been an obstacle.
It was something that was initiated by the society leadership and the journal editors. It took several years of investigating how and with whom to partner to bring our journals to an open access model. And many thoughtful decisions had to be made that allowed the society to function for the many activities that they engage with. And so what it means is that the article processing charges that are garnered from the published content that we have go straight back into science via the conduits that the society uses, such as public affairs, advocacy, lobbying, raising awareness in science, and so on.
Thank you so much for sharing this. Very interesting information.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now let's take a look at some of the latest developments in research, from marine molecular biology to drug discovery. The Chemical Genomics Center is housed in the Lankenau Institute for Medical Research, an independently managed research institute established in 1929, housed within a Lankenau Medical Center, part of the third largest hospital system in the Philadelphia region. Let's take a closer look at their work.
LIMR is an organization dedicated to biomedical research that was founded in 1927 and today focuses on cancer and cardiology. LIMR is very engaged in early stage drug discovery to identify new drug candidates, and LCGC was put together for that purpose.
One of our technologies is a compound library that comes from the chemical agricultural sector. So these types of molecules have never been seen before in a biological realm. Another innovation is the nanotube automated retrieval system that can manage 10 million samples and provide them in any format that's requested. We have a patented method to discover synergistic combination drugs in an ultra-high throughput manner. These elements come together, the library, materials management system, and our software, to discover the new drug leads of the future.
Embedded within Sanford Burnham Prebys, the Prebys Center is an academic research institute whose mission is to both uncover molecular basis of disease and to advance the discovery of novel therapeutics.
The Conrad Prebys Center for Chemical Genomics, or the Prebys Center as we call it, is an academic drug discovery center in which we advance really early ideas that people have and try to start the beginning of translational work towards a drug. Our mission really is to enable that translational work. There's new research happening all the time coming from laboratories, both here at Sanford Burnham Prebys, but of course throughout the world, and we will collaborate with anyone who has a passion to do that, to try and help them move beyond the basic research and understanding behind disease to move forward towards a translational initiative. There is a long list of diseases where we just wish we had compounds, injectables, new products that would turn them from being deadly and heavily debilitating into something that is managed and people can have a much higher quality of life.
I'm joined with Margaret Nagy, goes by Peggy, president of ASPET. Thank you so much for joining us today in our EBTV studio. So tell us a little bit about membership and what are some of the benefits of membership with ASPET?
Well, first of all, we are really one of the few pharmacology societies in America. There's a clinical pharmacology, but we want ASPET to be, ASPET is the home for pharmacology. As a benefit, you get benefits as far as the journals and publishing. You are always around your pharmacology colleagues, so there's the benefit of the society and trying to have the very best pharmacology possible presented at the meetings. So the meeting is a huge benefit, but there are also many ways of contributing and adding to what you do in pharmacology by joining ASPET. And ASPET now also has wonderful webinars called Focus on Pharmacology that is free to pharmacologists. And we're starting another program on problems in pharmacology, POPs, learning pharmacology from a problem-oriented way. So there are many benefits that are free that we are providing educationally for our members.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today in the EBTV studio.
You're very welcome.
Becoming a faculty member can be both an exciting and challenging time. Next up, we're speaking to Christy Kolarczyk and Tracy Pari, who run a session with tips and tricks for all of those in their first year as a faculty member.
So we did a session called 365 Days in Your First Faculty Position, trying to make every day count. And so we really looked at it as an opportunity to take, an appointment to a faculty position, which can seem like you're the only one, and tried to, give attendees the opportunity to ask questions and learn the best tips and tricks related to, here are some of the things that you need to do. Here are some of mistakes that previous people have made, and, ideas and guides for being successful.
It was really geared towards just kind of giving them the tips and tricks that they need and kind of the tools that they need to be developing in order to move into that position successfully and smoothly. There's a lot of things that kind of have to go into that. So the earlier that they can kind of prepare and get their ducks in a row, so to speak, the easier that transition will be ultimately for them.
Our society really felt like, leaders in our society can kind of give back to these trainees and give them an opportunity to, get some best practices and, some of the, hey, I wish I would haves ahead of time.
It can be very overwhelming. You've kind of gone from this position where you're very mentored, you always have somebody that you're kind of reporting to that's kind of helping you along, to a lot of that support system is now gone. You're the big dog now. You're kind of in charge of building your team. And so a lot of that support network feels like it's not really there anymore. So it's good to be very prepared going into that. That way you know where those resources are, that way you can kind of hit the ground running.
I hope that they gain some confidence, a little bit of reinforcement in that, yes, you can do this, even if there are going to be things about this position that you may or may not have learned in the past, experiences you may or may not have had. But yes, you can do this, and there are a lot of other people that can support you and help you and you can reach out to. So instead of looking at it as you're a mentee only, you can also become a mentor and then find those senior faculty that can, help you along that pathway as well.
We're EBTV, your daily news show featuring interviews and discussions from this year's EB meeting in Philadelphia. You can catch us around the convention center, in your hotel room, or on the EB website and on YouTube. And you can join the conversation on social media. With new content each day of the meeting, make sure to keep watching. I'm joined by William Coleman, Executive Officer of ASIP. Thank you for joining us in our studio here. So let's talk about some of the highlights over the past year for the ASIP.
So our society has really gotten into a lot of virtual offerings for our members. This started during the pandemic, and we did a long series of webinars on COVID-19 and how COVID-19 affects people, disease-wise. And then that launched us into doing a lot of other virtual offerings for some of our membership communities, including our Women in Pathology group, as well as our trainees and some of our scientific interest groups. And then we've continued with some things that we had started previously, including a virtual seminar series for the trainees. All of these initiatives have been aimed at keeping the membership engaged all year round, instead of just once a year at the meeting.
A lot of pivoting too with the pandemic. Talk a little bit about COVID and how it affected the society and then also just scientific community overall.
So COVID-19, it of course affected the society at the staff level by virtue of the closing of our office and everybody beginning to work from home. But we certainly proved that we could accomplish our missions, our various missions, including publishing our journals and putting together our meetings and doing just general governance of the society rather effectively. But it affected a lot of our scientists because their labs closed for periods of time. A lot of the trainees got behind on their research and those sorts of things. And so I think that, once the universities and the industry and the biotech companies began to deal with the pandemic and put into place mitigation factors so people could get back to work, it was a real relief for our members.
ASIP is having its own standalone meeting next year. Tell us a little bit about plans for that meeting.
Yeah, we're very excited about that. We've done some standalone meetings in the past, and they're smaller, but they're very focused, and there's a lot of interaction, a lot of opportunities for networking. Our standalone meeting next year is actually going to be in October in Salt Lake City. And we're partnering with two other societies in that meeting, the American Society for Matrix Biology and the Histochemical Society. And our three societies have a lot of membership overlap, a lot of shared scientific interest, and so we think it's going to be a really fantastic collaboration.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
That's it for our final day at the EB 2022 meeting. We hope you enjoyed the shows and the final EB meeting here in Philadelphia. It may be the end of the meeting, but you can still watch all of our content on the EB website or on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe for more content. From us here in Philadelphia, it's goodbye.